What's up, everybody? Hope you're doing well out there. It's been a very long while since I've put out a poker vlog, and admittedly I'm not exactly sure where to start with an introduction, but I imagine some of you might be new to the channel, so maybe just a quick introduction. My name is Andrew Locke. I am a poker vlogger from the Bay Area. For those of you that subscribe to the channel or watch the content regularly, I just want to thank you for sticking around despite me not putting any content out for the last 7 months. And today I'm here at Lucky Chances Casino, going to be playing 3-5 no limit. This card room is roughly 15 or 20 minutes away from either direction, whether you're coming from San Francisco or San Mateo. They've got pretty good safety precautions in place. When you walk in, you do a temperature check. There are hand sanitizing stations all over the place. When you get called for your seat, they actually wipe down the railing for you. Every time there's a dealer change, they change out the cards. The chips are sanitized regularly with some sort of a machine. All of the seats are divided via clear plexiglass dividers, and face coverings on at all times. So yeah, all in all, pretty safe. Obviously, given the circumstances, anytime you go out, there's going to be some level of risk, but at the very least, they seem to be doing a decent job at mitigating, and that's actually why I feel comfortable coming back a second time and perhaps even further to play some poker and put out some poker vlogging content for you all. So I'm going to hop in there, 3-5 no limit, and I'll come back to you all with some hand histories. One thing I forgot to mention is that the setup is actually outdoors now. So that's the one other element that makes things feel a little bit safer. Rumor has it that they spent in the neighborhood of 7 figures to get this set up. So hopefully it works out well. All right, just finished the session and going to hop in the car. Let's talk over some hand histories here. In this first hand, early position raises to $15. I call from the cutoff with 5-6 of diamonds and the button and big blind call as well. We go 4 ways to a flop of Jack 10-3 with 2 diamonds, so I flop the flush draw and a backdoor straight draw. Early position bets $40. I make the call, the button and the big blind fold. We go heads up to a turn of a king of spades. This time early position bets $45, giving me about 4-1 on this call, and I'm getting pretty close to that in the ballpark in terms of my equity with 9 flush out. So I decided to make the call with $800 back, hoping to have a little bit of implied odds here as well. So we go heads up to a turn, which comes a jack of spades. So I missed the flush draw, and this time he bets $45. Pretty easy fold, so I just let it go. And he was nice enough to flash one card, which happened to be a jack of hearts. So he takes this one down. In this next hand, it's a straddle pot. I raise from the cutoff with pocket kings to $35, and I get calls from the button and the straddler. We go 3 ways to a flop of 10-5 deuce rainbow. Very good flop for my hand, over pair, and no real draws out there. Checks to me, and I decide to c-bet it for $50, and unfortunately, both players fold. In this next hand, I raise it to $20 from under the gun with ace-4 of hearts. I get 3 calls from under the gun 1, hijack, and the cutoff. We go 4 ways to a flop of ace-5-5 with 2 spades. I decided to c-bet it for $30 to get value from middle pocket pairs and potentially flush draws, and only the hijack makes the call. Heads up to a turn, which comes a 7 of spades, which does complete the front door flush. I decide to check it, and he checks it back. River comes a deuce of diamonds, and I'm happy to try to just take my hand to showdown here. So I check it, and he checks it back, and he shows ace-9 offsuit to have a higher kicker here to take this hand down. Although I lose this hand, I did pick up some information on this player that he was willing to call with a fairly marginal ace that doesn't flop too well typically. Typically a hand that has some reverse implied odds when you play a hand like ace-9 offsuit. So just jotting those notes down in my head for future hand histories with this particular opponent. In this next hand, it's another straddle pot. I raise it to $35 from the cutoff with 5-7 of hearts, and I get 2 callers, the button and the straddler. 3 ways to a flop of king 8-7 with 2 hearts. So really nice looking flop for my specific hand holding here with pair and a flush draw. I see bet it for $50, and similar to the previous straddle pot, both players fold. In this next hand, there's a middle position raise to $20, perhaps from the best player at the table. I decided to flat the button with ace-king suited, taking a pretty tricky line here. I would actually advocate to 3-bet this hand just about 100%, but I decided to take a tricky line, and it allows both of the blinds to come into the hand as well. So we go 4 ways to a flop of ace-jack-5 with 2 clubs and a spade. I flop top pair and some backdoor draws. Action checks to me, and I decide to bet $50. Both of the blinds call, and the middle position folds. We go 3 ways to a turn, which comes a 6 of diamonds. Checks over to big blind, and he does something unique. He bets out $135, leaving $200 back. I'm playing about $750, and the small blind covers me. I decide to just continue with the call and evaluate what happens on the river. Don't get that opportunity though, because small blind does something unique by popping it up to $420. Gets to the big blind, he tank folds. I decide to fold as well. Just can't think of any hand that this player would be bluffing with in this spot. Obviously, he could have flopped the set and slow played it, even though there was a draw on the flop, or he could have just turned some sort of a random 2 pair coming from the blinds. But he also didn't seem like the type of player to be bluffing pretty much ever in this spot, particularly because he had the opportunity to just close the action by calling that turn bet. But by repopping it to 420, it's pretty strong there, and it's sort of indicative of some very strong value. So get away from this weirdly and somewhat poorly played ace-king suited hand. In this next hand, it's 6-handed. I am first to act, and I raise it to $20 with pocket queens. I get 2 calls from the button and big blind. 3 ways to a flop of 7-4 deuce monotone all hearts, so I flop overpair with the flush draw. I decide to c-bet it for $30, and only the big blind calls. Turns a 3 of hearts, so I do make the flush, and when he decides to check it, I decide to check it back. River comes another heart, this time a 6 of hearts. He checks it once more. I tried to squeeze out some value by betting $50, but unfortunately he quickly folds. So take this hand down with not too much action. This next hand is a 6-handed straddle pot. I raise it from the button to $35 with the computer hand, queen 7 suited. I get calls from the big blind and the straddler. 3 ways to a flop of 10-4-4 rainbow. Checks to me, and I decide to c-bet it for $50, and only the big blind calls. Turn is a 4 of diamonds, and when he checks it, pretty much just give up on the hand, and I check it back. River comes a jack of clubs, and he slides out a bet of $80. I make the pretty quick fold, and he shows 3-4 suited to pick up the high hand bonus, so I was never going to win that one. This next hand is a pretty quick one, but I'm going to throw it in there just to talk a little bit about taking aggressive action pre-flop. I buy the button from the small blind position, and big blind in early position limp. There's a raise to $25 from middle position. I look at king jack of spades from the small blind, and I decide to go for a 3-bet here. It's a pretty looking hand, but it's not a great hand in terms of playability out of position, especially if you're just calling. So I like going for the aggressive route, taking initiative in the hand, and that'll allow me to navigate some streets, I think, a little bit easier. So I 3-bet it, and it folds back to the middle position raiser, and after an initial pause, he open folds ace-jack offsuit. So good event for me here. Obviously was dominated, and had the board come out jack high, I would have been in some really tough spots. Really good event specifically in this situation, just based on our hand holdings. But I just kind of put this hand in there to demonstrate that sometimes when you're out of position, it's good to take aggressive action, just seize initiative and try to take down the hand pre-flop. And if not, then at least you can navigate post-flop, being that you have a little bit more initiative in the hand. This next set is not super interesting either, but I'm just going to throw it in there. I raise it from early position to $20 with Beauty and the Beast offsuit, and only the button calls. We go to a flop of 8-6 deuce with 2 hearts. I do have 1 heart in my hand. I c-bet it for $15. He makes the call. Turn is the ace of hearts, so I pick up the second nut flush draw, but it feels kind of like the nut flush draw because I don't know how many king of hearts he's going to have in his hand, just a naked king of hearts in his hand. So I decide to keep at it with some aggression. I bet $50, and he lets it go. In this next hand, I raise it with king queen again, this time suited, from early position to $20. And again, I'll only get action from the button. Heads up to a flop of jack 8-6 with 2 spades, so overs and some backdoors here. I c-bet it for $15. He makes the call. Turns a deuce of clubs, so not a great card because I don't pick up any of the hopeful equity that I was hoping for, something along the lines of a 10, a diamond, something that would allow me to barrel with better equity heading into the river. But given that he just flattened my bet so far, he doesn't seem super strong, and I just want to keep pounding that aggression. So I fire out a bet of $35. Can probably size up a little bit to put more pressure, but that's what I settled on at the time, and he does make the call. River comes a king of spades, so pretty interesting card because it completes the front door flush, but now it gives me a hand with some value. I can check it and try to induce, but I'm just not sure if he's going to be betting here that often unless he has exactly a flush. I think he's going to be checking back a lot of hands that have showdown value, and I don't know that he's going to just randomly bluff in this spot. So in an effort to try to sneak out a little bit of value from some sort of middle pair type holding, I bet out $50 and he just snap folds. So take this one down. Okay, last hand to note, I raised from under the gun to $20 with ace queen offsuit. And again, I only get a call from the button. Heads up to a flop of ace 8-5 with 2 spades. So a flop top pair here with great kicker. I see bet it for $20 and he decides to make the call. Turn comes another ace, so now I pick up trips. Really good hand. I suspect that he has a hand like maybe 6-7, sometimes an 8, and some flush draws, given that I pretty much block everything else. So I don't want to just check it and have him check back for a free card. So I fire out a bet of $50 and he makes the call. River comes a 5 of diamonds, so I fill up, and now it becomes very narrow in terms of what I'm targeting for value. I'm pretty much just going after an 8 and maybe hands like pocket 9s or pocket 10s on occasion. But again, this player also doesn't seem like someone that's going to just bet if checked to. So I decided to fire out a bet of $110, targeting a very narrow part of his range, hopefully an 8, a stubborn 8, or stubborn pocket 9s type hand. And unfortunately, he open folds king, queen of spades. So he did flop the nut flush draw, decided not to play it aggressively, which was good for him because he ended up losing pretty much the minimum here. All right, that wraps it up for this session. Unfortunately, a pretty boring session overall, pretty anticlimactic. No real interesting hands, no big pots. So that part is unfortunate. Was hoping to come back with some, fun hands to share with you all after so many months of not playing live poker. And in the end, I was in for $1,200 and I cashed out $945. So book a loss of $255. Not the ideal return either to the poker table in terms of the result, but happy to be back playing cards nonetheless. Again, I'm not really sure how often I'm going to be doing this just because it still is fairly risky to be putting yourself out in this sort of situation, but just wanted to get back out here. Obviously felt a little bit more comfortable because it is in an outdoor environment and a variety of protocols are in place to make you feel a bit safer. Not exactly sure when the next vlog will come out. I hope you all do enjoy this one. And if you do, then it'll be a little bit more of a incentive to make more of these videos more regularly. But until then, I hope everyone stays well out there. It's been a crappy year, really. Everyone has suffered, I think, in some way or been affected negatively by this whole pandemic, myself included, obviously, just trying to navigate. But it's these times that really kind of test your patience, test you as a person. So just do your best to surround yourself around good vibes and try to navigate this thing together. And with that, I'll see you all on the next one.